I clenched my fists, struggling to keep my composure as the weight of Adrian's betrayal sank in. His smirk deepened, enjoying my humiliation. Emily, the woman I had planned to marry, still hadn't said a word. Her silence was louder than any excuse she could have made. "Emily!" My voice wavered between anger and disbelief. "You're going in my place? Without even telling me?" She shifted uncomfortably, tucking a strand of her perfectly curled hair behind her ear. "Nathaniel, it's not like that," she started, voice soft, rehearsed. "Adrian thought." "I don't give a damn what Adrian thought," I snapped, cutting her off. "I want to know what you thought. Did you even hesitate?" Her lips parted, but nothing came out. That was my answer. Adrian let out a low chuckle, shaking his head. "Nathaniel, this isn't personal. It's business. Emily is a better fit for the event. She understands how to make the right connections, how to charm people in a way that I can't." I finished for him. My blood boiled, but I refused to let them see me crumble. I wasn't going to let Adrian, or the woman I once loved, dictate my worth. Adrian folded his arms, amused. "Don't take it so hard. You'll still have your job. For now. For now." The unspoken threat hung between us, thick with arrogance. If I retaliated, I'd be out. Years of grinding, clawing my way up in Sinclair Enterprises, tossed aside like I meant nothing. Emily reached for my hand, her touch no longer familiar. "Nate, please. Let's not make this ugly. We can talk later." I recoiled, disgusted. "Don't call me that." She flinched. Adrian sighed, already bored of my presence. "Security will escort you out if necessary." I took a step back, inhaling deeply. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me shatter. Instead, I leveled my gaze at Adrian, then Emily. "Enjoy your trip," I said, my voice eerily calm. "I'll be seeing you both soon." I turned on my heel and walked away, leaving them behind. But I wasn't walking away in defeat. No, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The jet sliced through the sky, a seamless blend of power and precision. Seated in the lavish leather chair, I stared out the window, my reflection barely visible against the vast stretch of clouds below. My mind raced, replaying the moment I received Eleanor Sinclair's invitation. Why me? I wasn't naive. Eleanor was a power player, raised in boardrooms, seasoned in negotiations before most people finished college. People didn't cross her path by accident. A soft chime interrupted my thoughts. A flight attendant approached, offering a chilled glass of whiskey on a silver tray. "Compliments of Miss Sinclair," she said with a polite smile. I accepted, the ice clinking as I took a sip. Smooth, aged to perfection. Everything about this invitation, this flight, this moment, dripped with intentionality. I tapped my fingers against the glass, impatience bubbling beneath the surface. The island was only hours away. Soon, I'd be standing in the very place Adrian and Emily thought I was unworthy of. A smirk tugged at the corner of my lips. They had no idea what was coming. The descent onto Sinclair Island was breathtaking. The sprawling estate stretched across golden sands, surrounded by emerald waters that sparkled under the afternoon sun. The main villa, a fusion of modern architecture and timeless luxury, stood tall, its glass panels reflecting the endless blue sky. As I stepped onto the private dock, a sleek, black car awaited. The driver, dressed in a crisp suit, nodded respectfully before opening the door. "Welcome, Mr. Westwood. Miss Sinclair is expecting you." The ride up the estate's winding path was quiet, but my pulse thrummed with anticipation. Inside the grand hall, marble floors gleamed beneath an opulent chandelier. Floor-to-ceiling windows bathed the space in golden light. Every detail whispered wealth and influence. Then, I saw her. Eleanor Sinclair stood at the far end of the hall, poised yet effortlessly relaxed. Her deep green dress hugged her curves, sophistication personified. Dark waves cascaded over her shoulders, and when she turned, her gaze locked onto mine. Confident. Calculated. She offered a slow, knowing smile. "Nathaniel Westwood." I approached, keeping my expression unreadable. "Eleanor." She extended a hand, and as I took it, I felt the quiet strength behind her grip. "You took your time accepting my invitation." "I had to be sure it was real," I admitted. Amusement flickered in her eyes. "And—" I glanced around, taking in the grandeur of everything Adrian had denied me. "I'd say it's very real." Eleanor gestured toward the open terrace. "Walk with me." We stepped outside, the ocean breeze cool against my skin. Below us, guests mingled near the infinity pool, champagne flutes glistening in the sun. The retreat was in full swing, a playground for the powerful. "Let's get to the point," she said smoothly. "You were cast aside by a man who thinks he's untouchable. I don't care about your bruised ego. What I do care about," she turned to face me fully, eyes sharp, "is whether you're ready to take your place instead of waiting for permission." Her words struck deep. I had spent years proving myself, only to be discarded when it suited someone else's agenda. I had played by the rules. But what had it gotten me? Nothing. My jaw tightened. "I don't wait for permission anymore." Eleanor studied me, searching for hesitation. Finding none, she smiled. "Good." She reached into the pocket of her dress, pulling out a sleek, silver keycard. "Your suite is in the East Wing. Get settled, change into something sharp, and meet me for dinner." I accepted the keycard, fingers brushing against hers for the briefest second. A jolt of awareness sparked between us, something unspoken but impossible to ignore. Eleanor held my gaze, then turned, walking away without another word. I exhaled slowly, watching her disappear into the crowd. This was more than an invitation. This was an opportunity. And I had no intention of wasting it. By the time I arrived at the grand dining hall, the air buzzed with wealth and influence. Crystal chandeliers cast a golden glow over the tables, where the elite of Sinclair Enterprises and their hand-selected guests dined, laughed, and schemed. Every conversation was a negotiation, every glance an evaluation of status. And then there was me, the man Adrian Monroe had deemed unworthy of being here. I adjusted the cuffs of my tailored suit, the fabric smooth beneath my fingers. Eleanor had arranged for everything, ensuring I looked the part. But my presence alone was enough to send a ripple through the room. I didn't have to look powerful. I was. Eleanor stood near the head of the table, holding a wine glass with effortless grace. Her emerald gown shimmered under the dim lighting, but her eyes held something sharper, something predatory. She tilted her glass toward me in a silent invitation. Across the room, Adrian's laughter died mid-sentence. I felt his gaze before I even turned. When I did, I found him stiff, eyes widening slightly in disbelief. He hadn't seen this coming. Emily, seated beside him, followed his stare. When she saw me, she went rigid. Her manicured fingers tightened around her fork, her perfect mask of confidence slipping for the first time. I allowed a slow smirk to spread across my face. "Let it sink in. Let it burn." "Nathaniel," Eleanor called, drawing attention from every corner of the room. "Come join me." The murmurs started immediately. Some recognized my name. Others didn't. But the fact that I was standing beside her, the owner's daughter, that meant something. Adrian's expression twisted, an attempt to mask his shock. He forced a casual smirk. "Didn't expect to see you here, Westwood." I walked over, slow and deliberate. "Neither did I. Thought I wasn't the right image for this event." Adrian chuckled, but it was strained. "Seems like someone pulled some strings for you." Eleanor stepped in smoothly. "Actually, Nathaniel didn't need strings. I invited him personally." Another wave of murmurs. Adrian clenched his jaw, his composure cracking ever so slightly. Emily, on the other hand, hadn't said a word. She was still staring at me, as if seeing me for the first time. I leaned in slightly, my voice just loud enough for them to hear. "Tell me, Adrian, does it sting, knowing I'm exactly where you said I didn't belong?" His smirk faltered. "Don't get cocky, Westwood. This game changes fast." I grinned. "I'm counting on it." Eleanor, ever the strategist, slid her arm through mine. "Enough talk. Let's eat." As we moved toward our seats, I caught the flicker of something dangerous in Emily's eyes. Regret. Longing. Realization. She had chosen Adrian. She had betrayed me. But now, she wasn't so sure. And that made this even sweeter. The music thrummed softly in the background, the night air laced with salt and the distant murmur of waves against the cliffs. The retreat was at its peak, deals sealed over aged wine, alliances formed in whispered conversations. Yet, all eyes were subtly drawn to one thing. Adrian had tried to shake it off, pretend my presence didn't bother him, but I saw the tension in his shoulders, the flicker of something like fear in his eyes. Emily, on the other hand, had been watching me all night. She had always loved control. The way she played people, manipulated situations to work in her favor. But for the first time, she was on the other side, losing. And she hated it. Eleanor stood beside me on the open terrace, her glass of whiskey untouched as she surveyed the scene below. The woman was a force, her power effortless, intoxicating. But the way she looked at me, that wasn't just business. "You've unsettled them," she murmured, amusement curling her lips. I took a slow sip of my drink. "Good." Her gaze flickered toward Adrian, then Emily. "She regrets choosing him." I chuckled. "Too late for that." Eleanor turned to face me fully, stepping closer. "And what about you?" I raised a brow. "What about me?" Her fingers traced the rim of her glass. "Revenge is satisfying. But it's not everything." For the first time tonight, I paused. Because she was right. Adrian had stolen my position. Emily had betrayed me. They had laughed, discarded me without a second thought. But here I stood, above them. And the truth was, I no longer needed to prove anything to them. I had won. I set my glass down, turning toward Eleanor. "You knew this would happen, didn't you?" She smirked. "I knew you'd take what you deserved, if you were bold enough." A slow breath left my lips. The hunger for revenge had burned for weeks, pushing me forward. But standing here, with Eleanor's eyes locked onto mine, I realized something. I was done looking back. Emily had chosen her path. Adrian had built his empire on arrogance. I had something better. Power. Influence. A future. And the woman in front of me? She saw me. I leaned in, my voice low. "You enjoy testing people, don't you?" Eleanor's smile was pure fire. "Only the ones worth my time." I brushed a stray curl from her face, watching the way her breath hitched. "Then let's stop wasting it." She didn't hesitate. Her lips crashed into mine, claiming me the way only a woman like Eleanor Sinclair could, without apology, without restraint. Fire burned through my veins as I pulled her closer, tasting the victory, the power, the future I had just stepped into. Behind us, Adrian and Emily watched. But they no longer mattered. I had won.